Okay, so we are talking about chapter 11, which focuses on a myriad of writing styles and just writing for academia. But I want to spend a bit more time on APA. For those of you who don't know, APA stands for the American Psychological Association, and that is our style guide that we use for citing the research that we find in our academic papers. Many of you who are taking this class have probably already been introduced to APA. So what I wanted to really do is just show you some of the resources that we have here at Towson so that you can access those, because APA will be a large part of the documents that you produce in this class, and it's important that you not only are aware of what exists and what needs to be done, but also that you are comfortable with what you'll be having to do, since you'll be graded on this. So as you can see, I am on the Towson LibGuides site for COMM studies, and you all will be hearing from Joyce in a couple of days about research citations. Also, you'll be talking about research questions, but I just wanted to show you some of the resources that are available to you, and I'll also be posting these links on Blackboard for you to see. So the first link that Joyce has up here is the APA Citation Style Guide for in-text citations, and this guide provides instructions and examples for creating in-text citations using APA style. So we're just going to click on this link and look at this at some point whenever it decides that it wants to load. All right, so here we go. So, and this is actually a document that you can either bookmark, you can view it currently, you can download it, you can print it, you can save it and open it. Obviously, you can manipulate it how you want, even though it's a PDF document. And so we want to keep in mind that for APA, most research papers require both a reference list and in-text citations, and reference list handouts are available to you via this website. Okay, so when we think about APA citations, I just want to go over a couple of things that are listed here. Are general rules. Every in-text citation must correspond to an entry in your reference list or references. So this means that you cannot have something in your references list typically that does not find itself somewhere in your paper, and you cannot have something in your paper that is not located in your references list, and mainly because you want to make sure you give proper attribution to the sources that you're using, but also because that could be considered plagiarizing. So you want to make sure that all of your sources match up and that you're citing them correctly. Secondly, if available, in-text citations must include the author or editor and year of publication. As a rule of thumb, you want to include as much information as possible for your references, given the type of reference that it is, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But in your in-text, there is specific information that you need. And in most cases, you're going to be able to find, even if you don't have it on the actual source, you may be able to search around Google very easily and find the actual citation information. This is really important because if someone were to read your information, not only your faculty members, but if you planned on carrying this research out and actually publishing it, you want people to be able to access what you are citing and what you are sourcing so that people can see that it's, it's reliable and it's valid and it's trustworthy and it's ethical. Finally, direct quotes must also include a page number. So oftentimes I see in papers that students will have an amazing citation that comes directly from a source, and they'll have it in quotation marks, and they will have the year, but they will not have the page number. And so you just want to make sure that per APA guidelines that you are following those guidelines and that you have everything there in the way that it needs to be. So the sheet goes through how you put this together. I'll let you read through that. You just want to make sure, mainly that you are punctuating citations correctly. You want to make sure that you understand the type of source that you have. Are you citing a work or a source that has 2 authors, 3, 4, or 5? And do you know how to cite those within the text as an in-text citation? And do you also know how to cite that within your references list? Okay. When we're dealing with personal communications, a lot of the research that we see nowadays, especially with the advent of technology and the internet, comes from personal communications. So this would be emails, interviews, and letters. So when we're thinking about citing this, as we can basically cite everything that we get access to, we want to make sure that we do so correctly and that we have a good understanding of how that works. Okay. Citing works, I often find that students are like, well, what happens when I have to cite something that does not have a date of publication? If you absolutely cannot find it, and I mean, this means after you have searched and you're just like, nothing is coming up, you have reached out to Joyce, you may have reached out to your faculty member, you want to go ahead and just put ND. Now, hopefully, we don't find out that it actually does have a date of publication because it doesn't look too good, it doesn't look like you tried. But you want to make sure that you hit up all your avenues that you know to hit up so that you can make sure that you have all of the information there. Okay. All right. So that is it for the first sheet. I'm going to go back out. All right. And I'm going to go back and click on APA style. And so we're going to go to APA style citation style guide for print sources. Again, these are really awesome resources that your librarian has put together for you. And, since it's there, we are definitely expecting you all to follow all of these guidelines and to have a great understanding of what's here. So again, research papers require both a reference list and in-text citations. Again, they have all of the handouts available for which they are speaking to. So for the APA 6th edition, you want to make sure that you are not only following the guidelines, but that you know what to follow based on the type of text that you are citing. So within our arena, we are so fortunate to be able to not only cite books, but we are also able to use encyclopedia or reference books, edited books, okay, theses or dissertations, unpublished papers, lectures, or an archive of personal collections, journals and periodicals, which you all will probably deal with a bit more, newspaper articles, book reviews, as well as published conference proceedings. And so this document just mainly shows the information that is necessary for your citation, okay? And for each of these, for the most part, you want to make sure that you not only have the author's last name and the first initials if known, as well as the year of publication and the title of the book or the monograph or whatever the document or the resource is that you are citing, as well as the publication information, the place, city, and state abbreviation and publisher's name. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is really important to have, not only to showcase that you are being ethical and responsible and that you are doing things correctly, but also for someone else who may be interested in your work so that they can locate it. Okay? So I'm going to go back out, click on APA style again. This is for online sources, and this is really, really helpful, I believe, because so many of us do work online, and it's important for us to have a really great understanding of how to cite sources online, because sometimes those citation styles can differ per the resource. So again, these are the references and the types of references that you have, okay? They go through this list that I'll read to you. The following pieces of information may be necessary for your citation. So again, the author's last name and first name, or if unknown, the sponsoring organization. So this is like if you're going and you're using information from a website, hopefully a very credible website, and they don't have a name. There's no name listed as an author. There's no name listed at the bottom. You can go through what the organization is listed as or what the website name is, to suggest where and who you got it from. And this is especially important with the internet because we want to be able to definitely access that information as soon as possible and make sure that it's credible and that it's reliable. You want to also add in the date of the original source. If no date is provided, again, use ND. The title of the document, article, or web page. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The source, title, and publication information. If applicable, you want to put a volume, an issue, or a page number. Online, oftentimes we may not have a page number, but say if it's an online periodical or an online website that has like a newsletter, that may have a page number. Okay, you want to put the date retrieved, and this is only required if the content is likely to change, as in the case with wikis. Okay, so more than likely you should not be citing anything from Wikipedia, but that there are other sites that have wikis where people are actually going through and manipulating that information over time. It's really great to be able to pull when something was retrieved, because a day or so later there may be something different. So we would like to be able to go back and match that up and be able to see how and when the resource changed and when it was updated. And then finally, the DOI, and this is the alphanumeric digital object identifier. And so if this is not available, a journal or web page address. And if you need help finding a DOI, there's a great link here for you to click on so that you can locate it. Be careful when you are on sites like EBSCOhost and some of the other sites that are sponsored through the library research portal, that you make sure you have the correct information. Sometimes students will go in and take a link from the actual research portal instead of getting the actual article DOI, and then when they go back, it's no article or it's the wrong thing. So just make sure you're being cognizant of that, okay? And then the rest of this kind of goes through and shows you the ways in which you can actually cite this information. And so something that's really helpful for me as I do my research and I write up my papers and I work on my dissertation or any conference presentations or papers I'm doing, is I have a document that shows me all the different types of resources that I have, especially online, because sometimes I get different types of online resources and those change in the ways I need to cite them. So I have something like this set up where it tells me basically what needs to go where, and I put my information down, and like a puzzle, I just put it together. Some things I know off the top of my head, some things I still have to kind of go and check to be sure. And so you just want to make sure that with APA style, like done here, that you are actually going through and being as efficient as possible, and that you are for the most part manually doing it and checking it and knowing what to look for. So I think the models here are really great, and I would suggest that if you haven't done that yet, that you go ahead and make the document for yourself. It has saved me numerous occasions. So again, this just showcases all the different types of online sources and the guidelines for APA citations. So I think we have one more sheet on here. Again, I'm going to go back to APA style. This sheet is really handy for miscellaneous sources. Again, being in communications research within this postmodern era, we are studying and referencing all types of things. And so it's really important that we know how to not only get access to that information, to those resources, but that we also know how to cite those, okay? So if you are citing a major motion picture, this is telling you how to do it here. A film with limited distribution, it's here. An online video, films, a television broadcast, a television series, a single episode of a television series, a post from Twitter or Facebook. This is really important, and for Twitter, this is gonna probably change a little bit because the tweets are going to be longer. We don't have to really worry about that too much now. A blog post, a technical and research report that is in print, okay, so something that may be printed out, a music recording, a technical and research report online, an education resource information center report, so this is ERIC, a document that's pulled from that site, a brochure that's in print, a brochure that's online, a PowerPoint presentation slide, a data set, and then company record, okay, via another site like LexisNexis. So this is just, a review. Please, please, please take time and go back and look at these yourself. And like I suggested, go ahead and make that document sheet for yourself. And feel free to email me or Dr. Potter, as well as your librarian Joyce, if you have additional questions or concerns about how to manipulate your information so that it conforms to standards of APA style. And one more thing I want to show you before I end this slide is that there is a basics of APA style tutorial, and it talks to you in a very nice voice similar to mine. And I'll post that link in Blackboard as well. But as you can see on the right panel, it talks about how to organize your title page. It talks about your introduction manuscript, which is your document, your research paper. We refer to that as a manuscript. The formatting. It also goes through the headings that you need to have and what those look like. It talks a lot about reducing bias, some of which we've talked about in our ethics section of this course, and then citing your references. So this is a wonderful resource, and this comes directly from the APA website. So I would definitely suggest that you check this out, consult all of these resources, and I hope that this is extremely helpful to you as you continue on in this class. This ends the presentation on APA style.